All right, so just for the fun of it, I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about, and I've done a video like this similar where I talked about my book collection, but not my comic book collection, but my collection of books. And for this time around, I thought it'd be kind of fun just to talk about the Warhammer section of it, because let's be real, that's what really everyone cares about. Especially when it came to my book collection, everyone was like, I purposely waited till the end to talk about the Warhammer collection. That's when everyone really cared. So I thought it'd just be kind of fun since my collection has kind of expanded a little more and is still expanding because I do have um, Fulgrim the Perfect Sun coming in soon. I pre-ordered it, and it should be here before the end of the week. I was going to wait on it, but I was like, it's just a book. So Fulgrim the Perfect Sun is coming in, and I also found the First Heretic from the Horus Heresy for a pretty good price on thrift books, where I've been kind of combing around looking for more books and comics. Um, I never find the first. I never a lot of those war. I don't think I'm going to be ever able to find every single Horus Heresy novel. I've only managed to find five so far, counting the one I just counting the First Heretic. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to be ever able to get them all. Maybe I could start fresh with the Scouring novels. But anyway, so let's dive right into it. Starting off, Grotznik, de Mad Doc. So the reason why I say because it's called Grotznik, de Mad Doc, but I can't help but like read this title and go Grotznik, de Mad Doc. You gotta just say it like full orc, man. Um, this is a pretty fun book. For those who don't know who Grotznik is basically a weird boy, who he's a pain boy actually, excuse me, who basically helped build Gazgathol. He put Gazghal's head on that war machine, and he's kind of responsible for Gazgathal's like Prophet of the Wog stuff. He's kind of like a orc version of like Fabius Bile, and it's a lot of fun. Orc novels in general just fun. Yeah. So anyway, moving on, we have Eidolon, the Auric Hammer. I'm not the biggest Emperor's Children fan, but I do think the Emperor's Children do get some really good novels. And this is a solid one in of its own right. Eidolon was the former Lord Commander and first captain of the Emperor's Children, and Fulgrim's right-hand man. This is a really cool story of like what happened to him during the Horus Heresy, after Eidolon basically he mouthed off to Fulgrim decapitated him, and he felt bad about it, so he had Fabius be like, put his head back on, and he came back kind of wrong. So this is kind of more of the heresy and what happened afterwards after Eidolon came back. So I think it's pretty fun. I think it's a pretty solid book. I'm going to go through my hardcovers first because that's what I'm kind of reaching for. Next is Leontis, Lord Solar. It's a cool guardsman book about the Tempestus Scions, who I don't think these guardsmen get a lot of love. I've been noticing, like, when it comes to guardsmen regiments, we usually just focus on the Cadians or Krieg. So anything to do with, like, a more unique guardsman regiment is always preferred in my book. I think it's pretty solid. It's a great guardsman versus orc story. And yeah. Next up is a recent one that I found at a local collectible shop in I live near, and I didn't realize they actually were selling Black Library books, so I kind of found this and went, it's mine. And that is Tomb World by Jonathan Beer. This is a very recent novel, and I'm glad I got it in hardcover too. I love the hardcover. I will get paperback Warhammer novels, but there's something about hardcover that just makes it feel a lot more official. So, and of course, it's Necrons. Of course, your boy's gonna read a Necron novel. Anyway, this basically follows a Necron named Kemet, who has been kind of shamed after her tomb world was raided. So now she's kind of on her own little quest. It's pretty fun. Again, I think the Necrons have, even though they don't have the most novels, I think they have the best novels in Warhammer, if I'm being completely honest. Is that a little biased? Yeah, but I don't care. We celebrate Necron supremacy on this channel, motherfucker. Anyway, Next up is Element Council. This is my only Tau novel, and I know someone's like, "Oh, you like the Tau?" Shut up, okay? The Tau. I actually like the Tau. I think they're pretty fun. I think they're pretty interesting in the setting, and I've been meaning to get the latest Farsight novel as well. I've been meaning to grab that, but I haven't had a chance to. Anyway, so Elemental Council is more it's okay. I think it's a fine book. I don't really have a lot of the Warhammer novels I have go from it's okay to that was really good. The only ones I really hated, and I've actually sold them off, were the 2 books by C.S. Godot. And I know all the major Warhammer authors, book readers, excuse me, when they hear the word C.S. Godot, they go, yeah, that thing. It was a 2-part story involving the Death Watch and the Eldar. Oh God, it was awful. I sold that off for it wasn't even worth the money I spent on it. So I got actually more than I paid for both of them. Anyway, getting back to this, I think this is fine. It's just nice to see more. I'm just always a fan of novels when it's not just the Imperium or Space Marines. I will always give those a look, even if it is the Dirty Fish people. But they're one of my 5 favorite races in 40K. They're one of my 5 favorite factions, so I do enjoy Tau stuff. I don't know why we hate the Tau, by the way. I think the memes have just kind of overridden, people's logical, critical thinking. The Tau aren't awful, guys. I don't we need to just fucking stop with that nonsense. Next up, Ashes of the Imperium. This is the first book in the Scouring series. This was a birthday present from someone very special to me. I got this as a really cool birthday present. It actually came out. It's pretty solid. I like that it's a big hardcover too. Again, I love the Warhammer hardcovers. And this one actually has, instead of the other ones who are just hardcover, this is like a wraparound to it. So it has a dust jacket. But yeah, this is the first novel in the Scouring. Like I said, this is like the day after the Emperor has been put on the throne, and we're all just kind of picking up the pieces. It's really solid. I'm looking forward to seeing where they go with it. I just hope it's not 55 fucking books. But GW likes that money, so who knows. Anyway, last on the hardcover list is The Siege of Rocks. It's a deathcore novel. So this is more of a condensed version of the historical event known as the Siege of Rocks, which was a massive battle in the Warhammer universe. It started off as a war of attrition that basically ended in a chaos siege and Vrox being torn apart, the planet being torn apart because of it. I think this is really cool, especially again, if you are while I just talked about the only time we do guardsman novels is really just if it isn't Caiaphas Cain and the Valhallan, it's either the Cadians or Krieg. That's not to say this novel's bad. It's actually like a cool boots on the ground kind of story of showcasing the Krieg and the other guardsman regiments and what they encountered in that battle in Rocks. So I really like it. Anyway, let's kind of go through some more books. These are the paperbacks I have. Starting off, we have Gene Father by Guy Haley. This is the great meeting of Fabius Bile and Belisarius Cull. I really like this novel. I think it's a really cool. Book. Do I think it doesn't really live up to an actual open war between Bile and Cull? Yeah, but still, I think it's a cool meeting of minds, especially when they first meet each other and are being just absolutely catty to each other. I think that's pretty fun. Following that, we have Angron the Red Angel, which I have to be honest, I don't like. It's a okay novel, but when you have Angron, a novel about Angron, you should show us Angron. We don't get a lot of Angron in this book. It should be called The Other People Around, The World Eaters featuring Angron. Yeah, he barely plays a role in this, and it kind of sucks that he does. But we do get to see what happened to Latara Sin from the Horus Heresy and what horrible fate befell her. This also ties into Arcs of Omen as well. So I do think it's fine. Again, my problem is there isn't a lot of Angron in the Angron novel, and that kind of bothers me. Here's what doesn't bother me, though. A pretty solid Primarch novel. Lions, Son of the Forest. This is really cool. This actually is a book that made me like Lionel Johnson as a character. Now, this is a book that basically explains the events prior to Arcs of Omen. So this explains what happened to Lion and how he awoke and how he came back. This also kind of reevaluates his character, because I never liked Lion during the Heresy era, but to see him now, like post Son of the Forest, it's actually kind of cool. He's gone through a lot of character arc in this book, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do with Lion going forward, and it does look like we're finally getting that with Dawn of War and the stuff in the 500 Worlds campaign. So this was pretty fun. I like it. Like, again, it gives a lot more to the Dark Angels, and we're finally getting away from the Fallen bullshit. About damn time. And now, my favorite Warhammer novel of all time, The Infinite and Divine. This is hands down my favorite. This is the best Warhammer novel ever. Like I said, the Necrons have the best novels. Sadly, I don't have the Twice Dead King omnibus. That's sold out like a hotcakes. But The Infinite and Divine is absolutely divine. Trazyn is my favorite Warhammer character. There's a lot of great jokes in here. There's also just some spectacle to it, too. And it's also the novel that made me really enjoy the Necrons. It made me the fan of the Necrons that I am. So, yeah, this book is great. If you like I've said this before, if you want to get into Warhammer novels but are kind of worried about the lore and what that, give the Infinite Divine a quick look. Next up is a recent acquisition, a Christmas present actually, The Broken Crusade. This is all about the Black Templars. This follows the basically the Black Templars after a major defeat, and they're just kind of picking up the pieces again. I really think this is a cool novel. It's a short one too, surprisingly, but yeah. This also talks more about Helbrecht and gives a bit more about the vision that is meant to be Rogel Dorn. So yeah. Again, it's novels like these that make me think, obviously they've talked about Perturabo, with Vashtor, and the Iron Warriors and building up to Perturabo's return. It does feel like Rogel, more than Lehman these days, feels like he's going to be the next Loyalist Primarch to return. How about we talk about some more orcs, people? How about that? First off, we have Gazgathal Thraka, Prophet of Dawar. This is a Gazgathal novel, but it doesn't really focus on Gaz. It's more about Makari, his Grot sidekick, and telling all the stories about Gazgathal. Again, it's a pretty short novel, but it is really fun. Then we have War Boss. The orc novels are some of the most fun you'll have, honestly. The War Boss novel is basically about a war boss named Gazrot trying to pull off a heist in Mars, and it is so much fun. There's some really great moments in here that even like the Mechanicus is like, there's no fucking way that works, right? Like, there's no, what the fuck? Then we have Brutal Cunnin and its sequel, De Big Daka. This is the appearance of Oof Tank Blackhawk, that was a homemade bookmark. Anyway, getting back on topic. These two books are about Uftak, who is a Bad Moon's orc, and I really like the character. He's smart, but he really is Brutal Cunnin. He's both cunning but brutal. It's a lot of fun, especially like his squig sidekick, and watching them take down an Imperial Knight together. The orcs novels are just fun. Next up, we have the Dark Imperium trilogy. This is basically when Guilliman has been revived, and now he's waging a war to take back Ultramar, and encountering Mortarion, and also questions of faith and things like that. This is really solid. This Dark Imperium would be another novel series, another novel trilogy, and I'm sure they're going to put this in an omnibus. But I do think that if you want to check out Warhammer novels, the Dark Imperium trilogy is a really solid start, because it is very much heavily referenced in continuity, and if you want to check out more with the 500 Worlds, it'd probably be a good spot. Next up, one of the few Age of Sigmar novels I have, and that is because it's the Skaven. This book was meant to be part of the new campaign involving Skaven Blight, so I was like, I don't have any Skaven novels. Okay, I'll go get an Age of Sigmar novel. It's not bad. It's cool to see the Skaven be scary again. There is some nice moments here and there, but it's kind of cool to see the Skaven be I know we all know them as the dumb, stupid, funny rat men, but it's kind of nice to see them be scary again. Anyway, excuse me. Next up, we have Warhammer 40k Renegades, the 2 novels so far in that series, Harrow Master and Lord of Excess. I fucking hate the Alpha Legion. I make it no secret that I fucking despise the Alpha Legion because of how ridiculous they are and how fucking annoying that whole Legion is. But I gotta be honest, Harrow Master was kind of fun, and it does give a lot of character to the Alpha Legion, and I do like the new character they brought in to basically unite the Alpha Legion warbands together, Solomon Kura. I'm looking forward to his novel, actually. As much as I fucking hate the Alpha Legion, I kind of want to read more of the Alpha Legion novels. It's a conundrum, just like the fucking Alpha Legion. And then Renegades. Again, I'm not an Emperor's Children fan, but I do like these Renegade novels. This one I think is a lot of fun. It basically follows a Emperor's Children warband who get a distress signal to their ship of a planet falling under attack by gene stealers. So half the book is them pretending to be like saviors to this planet, and then the other half is them fucking it all up. It's kind of fun. So next up are Ahriman Undying and Ahriman Eternal. These are books 4 and 5 of the Ahriman saga. Don't worry, we'll talk more about Ahriman in a bit when I get to the omnibuses. Yeah, I've got omnibuses too. These books are pretty cool. I think Azek Ahriman is pretty cool. I like how he's just doing the definition of insanity every time. It also gives a lot of point that the Space Wolves are total assholes, and they don't deserve anything nice to them. You shouldn't get your Primarch back, Space Wolves. Also, yes, Magnus did do everything wrong, in case you're wondering. I just think everyone handled that situation pretty poorly, but that's kind of the case of Warhammer in general now, isn't it? Next up, we have Krieg. Krieg is another cool novel about the Death Corps of Krieg, obviously, and it's from the same author as the Siege of Rocks. This book is kind of talks more about the history of Krieg and also why the Kriegsmen are so obsessed with obeying the Emperor and all that. I like it. Yeah, I like it. It's good. All right, let's So these were among the first Warhammer novels I ever found. I was in a thrift store, like a small thrift store, and this was before I became a major Warhammer fan, but I was aware of it. And even back then, I was like, I know those books are going to be valuable, and also if I ever want to get into Warhammer, check this out. So these are among the first, and that is the Salamanders trilogy. This is getting I think it's called Tomes of Fire is the name of the omnibus, but yeah, these are the first original novels by Nick Kime's Salamander series. They're good. The Salamanders, as you guys know, are my favorite Space Marine chapter. And I think this book also helped with that. I think there's a lot of good stuff in here regarding the Salamanders and how you get them as a character. Anyway. So let's talk about a Warhammer novel, a Warhammer Old World novel, Greyseer. This book is kind of hard to find. The Thanquol trilogy novels are kind of hard to find in general, But it was kind of cool because I was at a Warhammer store a few months ago, and we were like my special friend, shall we say, we were looking through books, and they're like, and I asked him, hey, do you got any more books in the back? Yes, I pulled the Karen thing, and he was like, oh yeah, let me check. And this was among them, like a really good edition of Greyseer. This is the first of the Thanquol's Doom novels, and again, Thanquol is just a wizard version, coked out wizard version of Zim. So if that doesn't give you any indication of why you should read those books, I don't know what will. So these are the two recent Horus Heresy novels I got. Slaves to Darkness and The Praetorian of Dorn. Slaves to Darkness is a pretty cool book. It's more about the chaos side after like Fulgrim and Angron and Mortarion have ascended to demonhood, and now it's getting to the point where Horus is basically wrangling cats at this point. Yeah, and then Praetorian of Dorn. This is the book where he kills Alfarius, or is it Omegon? Who knows? Who gives a fuck? It's the Alpha Legion getting fucked. Yeah, so. I'm slowly starting to, like, Rogel was always okay with me, but I'm starting to like, I wouldn't say Rogel's my favorite Primarch, but he's definitely a character I enjoy. A lot more than Perturabo. I can tell you that. Suck it, Iron Losers. Hey, Iron Losers! If you know what I'm talking about, congrats. Let's talk about the other two Horus Heresy novels I have in the collection so far. False Gods and Horus Rising. These ones are, and Galaxy in Flames. The first 3 books of the Horus Heresy are actually pretty easy to get. They are $10 a piece, and they're pretty widely common. For now, that is. Who knows? But yeah, if you just want to read the first 3 books, you can just check these out. This was the first of it, Horus Rising, all about Horus. Then we have False Gods, which has him slowly descending into chaos, and Galaxy in Flames is the Massacre of Istvan. Yeah. I've been meaning to get Galaxy in Flames. It's on my to-do list. So next up is Leviathan. This is basically a battle of High Fleet Leviathan during the fourth Tyrannic War. Excuse me. This was like an early campaign, and it also features a lot of Ultramarines from the first Tyrannic War, the Battle for Macragge, and their feelings on the Tyranids attacking another Ultramar system again. I think it's an underrated novel. I think it's pretty good. There's some really solid action scenes in here, and the Tyranids are always terrifying. Like in the novels, they are just... sometimes they're treated as cannon fodder, but more often than not, those guys are horrifying. Following that, we have The Fall of Cadia, which is by Robert Rath, the same guy who did Infinite and Divine. This is a chunky boy, but it basically gives you and I'm stressing this, a condensed version. This is the condensed version of The Fall of Cadia. It gives you of what Trazyn was doing, what Kull was doing, what Ussachar Creed was doing. And it's actually really cool. There's a great moment in there where we get the whole thing of Cadia stands, and Creed is talking to like his right-hand man, and he's like, I said more to that, but the mic blew out after I shouted Cadia stands, so it just stuck. So I like that. Next up, this is one apparently that's hard to find. Titanicus. This is the one where I got the Warhammer store, and the guy just went in the back and just picked it, and I was like, oh, that's Titanicus. That's an Imperial Knights book that is really hard to find. This is really cool. I've seen this book go for like $50, $60 online, so the fact that I got it at like, what was the original, $16 on original barcode price? Woo! But yeah, Titanicus is really cool. I always love the Imperial Knight stuff, and I wish we could get more Imperial Knight novels. Anyway, so let's talk about some omnibuses before we go. Oh, wait, I've got a few more small books. That's right. Next up, we have Fall of Deimos. This was another one of those books alongside the Salamander books and about 2 others I'll talk about in a minute that I found at this thrift bookstore. Fall of Deimos is a battle that features Cato Sicarius. Yeah, Cato Sicarius is our lead character, and he's battling Necrons. This was long before I knew who Cato Sicarius was and understood the whole thing about Warhammer, so the fact that this book, I come back and read it, is really fun. These were part of the Space Marine battle novels, which are hard to get. The one I really want is Hell's Reach and Battle of the Fang, even though I don't like the Space Wolves, and I'm mediocre on the Thousand Suns. But the Battle of the Fang is one of those big battles that I really would love to read about. Next up, we have The Curse of Necrarch, which is a Warhammer novel by Stephen Seville, who we'll talk about in a minute. Stephen Seville did all the old world vampire count novels. This is a more horror-based one. That's what I really like about a lot of the old world novels, more than Age of Sigmar, and sometimes even more than the 40K novels, where the old world novels could really delve into horror and also kind of be exploratory with the setting, and that's definitely a good point across of making it more horror. Next up, we have Courage and Honor and the Chapters Due by Graham McNeil. These are part of the Ultramarine novels. They're really good. These are really hard to find, apparently. And again, this was part of that thrift book haul I found. I was just I want to get Warhammer novels, and then I realized, oh, these are really important. These also feature Captain Uriel. This one involves Hansu, who is way cooler for an Iron Warrior villain than Perturabo will ever be. Fight me, Iron Losers. And this one involves the Tau. So these are both really cool. So let's talk about the omnibuses real fast. And of course, we're starting things off with Caiaphas Cain, hero of the Imperium. This is the first 3 books of the Caiaphas Cain series. This is a really fun omnibus. And yeah, if you want to read some fun Warhammer stuff with a fun character, go check out Caiaphas Cain. Or Hero of the Imperium. Next up, we have Age of Sigmar omnibus. Soulblight Gravelords, Masters of Death. This basically collects. I'm looking at the back because I haven't read this all the way through. Neferata, Mortarch of Blood, Neferata, Dominion of Bones, and Dynasty of Monsters. These are all done by David Annandale, and basically they do work rebuilding the lore of the vampire counts into the Soulblight Gravelords. Excuse me, from into Age of Sigmar. It's actually kind of cool. I especially like Neferata, although I do feel like they've altered her character a bit too much in Age of Sigmar from what she used to be. And I don't know if I like that, because I like Neferata being a neutral evil, kind of where she's more I just want to stick it to Nagash, and also her vampire court was more about she was kind of like a vampire Nick Fury, where she was doing stuff from the shadows, and now it's just kind of I'm evil. I don't know if I like that. Next up, we have War for the Mortal Realms. The last time I'm going to be talking about Age of Sigmar. This book is basically an omnibus talking about the reformation of the ashes of end times. Fuck the end times. Into where Sigmar's rebuilding the realms and all the work it took to rebuild it. Yeah, if you want to check about learn about Age of Sigmar lore, which is way more annoying than I thought it'd be, this would probably be your best bet. Next up, we have the Word Bearers omnibus. I have never heard anyone talk about the Word Bearers novels. They're actually kind of fun. They're actually kind of cool. And before the another Traitor Legion became my favorite, this was kind of the book that made me go, the Word Bearers are actually kind of cool. The Word Bearers are actually my second favorite Traitor Legion. Yeah, I know not a lot of people say that, but this was the book series that made the Word Bearers for a while make me go, yeah, they're my favorite. So yeah. Anyway, I'd say give it a shot if you can find it. I have not seen anyone talk about this series. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one who likes those books. Who knows? Okay. This is Warhammer Old World Omnibus. The Chronicles of Maulus Darkblade, Volume 1. This is I got this on a thrift books for, even as damaged as this book is, it's still in solid condition. I'm very tender with it. This series follows Maulus Darkblade, a dark elf. Yes, his name is Maulus Darkblade. And this series is fucking stupid, but I love it. It's so goddamn edgelord that it goes back to being fun. Like Malus Darkblade, a Darkblade in dark elf culture is like a Jon Snow, like a bastard. So he has to like fight his siblings. He has to fight this, and he hates the world. You can almost hear "I am all of me" every time he talks. So yeah, and Gotrek and Felix, the first omnibus. This basically has the first 3 novels, and yeah, these have been like the omnibuses have been hard to find. I'm lucky I got that and Malus together on Thrift Books. But yeah, that's the original edition of the first omnibus of Gotrek and Felix, and I would love to read more of those books. Finally, for Old World, at least I think it's the last one for Old World, is The Vampire Wars by Stephen Seville. These books it's a trilogy of books that basically chronicle the Vampire Wars, as this title suggests. And what I mean is, it's the war between the Empire of Man and the Vampire Counts. The first being with Vlad, then Conrad, not that Conrad, and then finally Manfred von Karstein. They're actually really solid. They actually read like some of this book really does read like chronicled history, like you're reading a novel about a battle that actually happened. Then we have Space Marines. This is a anthology novel. You can see a member of the Howling Griffins. Yeah. You think that's bad? Remember the time we got overrun by gene stealers? I can't help but every time I see a Howling Griffin, all I can think is that skit from Dread Anon. This is a cool collection of Space Marine stories from a lot of the best, like some really good authors from the series. This was also part of the thrift book haul I got. So really enjoyed this. Next up, Saints and Martyrs, a Sisters of Battle omnibus. Really cool. I like the books they got here. There is another. I'm hoping they collect the other Faith and Fire series. I don't know if they already did that in omnibus form, but I would love to see it done either way. Next up, we have Minka Lesk, the Lask White Shield. Minka Lesk is a really cool character. I think she's underrated. It talks a lot about her time on Cadia and also other campaigns outside of the Fall of Cadia. I love boots on the ground kind of stories, and Minka, it's cool that she finally got a model. And a lot of the supporting characters too. I think it's a solid book series. The Minka Lesk novels are actually really underrated in my opinion. Next up, we have Lords of Blood, the Blood Angels omnibus. This book series contains Darkness and Blood and the Astaroth series, but the big draw is this is the book that covers the devastation of Baal, the Battle of the Third Tyrannic War, and the last stand of the Blood Angels against the Tyranids. I think that's the shining part of this omnibus. I like the other 2 books, but it's the devastation of Baal that really ties it all together. All right. Moving on to Aruman the Omnibus. Like I said, I have books 4 and 5 of Ozek Aruman. These are the first 3 novels put together. Aruman is really cool, and again, while the Thousand Sons aren't really one of my favorite traitor legions, Aruman is a pretty complex character of a guy who's, like I said, he's basically doing the definition of insanity over and over and over again, and it's kind of sad. But it's not like he didn't bring it on himself, right? Then we have the Night Lords Omnibus. This series, basically by Aaron Dembski-Bowden, this is basically what made me a Night Lords fan. I was so against the Night Lords because I thought they were just a bunch of edgelord pricks. But after reading it and understanding these characters, I mean, I'm still like, fuck Conrad. He's still my least favorite Primarch. But the Night Lords are arguably some of the best. The Night Lords novels are some of the best written pieces of Warhammer literature out there. This is just a great series. If you want to read like more about villain or traitor marine traitor marine legions, look. And this is also something I would also just say, if you want to get into Warhammer books, go check out the Night Lords Omnibus. And finally, also from that thrift book haul, the Ultramarines Omnibus by Graham McNeil. This series has has the first 3 books of that. I think the 2 I have are like books 5 and 6, actually. But the Ultramarines Omnibus, this is like first or second edition, so this is like Space Rome, and we still have Marnius Calgar. This is an era where we didn't have Rabute Gilliman come back. This is a really cool book series, and Uriel Ventress is a really solid character. And also get some stuff with Kato. They're all really solid. But yeah. Anyway, so that's my Warhammer book collection. You guys let me know how many Warhammer books you've read, and what do you think of them. Anyway, like I said, I was going to wait until I got the Fulgrim and first Heretic novel collected, but I was like, I'm not going to wait that long. I'll just do it now. Anyway, yeah, just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.